This program that I called Renshuu was part of my time doing independent study at Chapman University, researching the areas of computer-assisted language learning. And my theory here was that there's a lot of flashcard programs out there, and this is yet another flashcard program. But the idea behind this was that not only would you be able to test your knowledge through flashcards, but really the point of the project was to design a framework to capture knowledge of you, how far you are in learning a language. So it's not just about learning words, but actually modeling the Japanese language to a certain extent that you would be able to, using this API, any program that implemented the API could then hook into a user profile to see how far along in your language learning you are. The goal being that, like, theoretically multiple educational programs could implement this API universally, and so you could transfer your progress from one program to another program. And also, individual programs could be able to deduce what you needed to practice on, because if you're keeping track of what you've learned as far as, are you good at verbs, are you good at adjectives, do you need help with numbers or verb conjugations, then by modeling your progress in a language through an API and through profiles, the apps could be more intelligent. And so this was a simple implementation of a program that implements this API, and I wrote a paper describing the API, more on details on my website. But you can see here that it was just sort of, this particular implementation was just a very generic flashcard program. You could click through and sort of quiz yourself on certain things, and there would be, this is just a practice mode where you look through the cards, but eventually you'd have a mode where it would ask you, sort of like Anki and other spaced repetition software flashcard programs, where you could type in the answers and save it and then compare it and then score yourself. But really the point here wasn't just to build a flashcard program, but rather to build a program that would keep track of what kind of progress I was making, what it meant to get a card right. So if I got a card right, and you can see here on the right side, I have a drop down. I can say what it is. It's a noun, it's an adjective, it's an adverb, what kind of verb it is, and I could say, like, what am I testing for, and by marking what that word is, then since the API has an idea about what the language entails and what kind of parts of speech there are, you could also eventually generate new cards automatically by taking words, since it knows what a verb is. If it notices that you're weak in particular conjugations, it could take verbs, it can take cards from generic flashcards and then create new cards representing conjugations that you need to test. So if you have trouble with the past tense, as long as you've created a card for a particular verb, you could practice all verbs in the past tense, and it would know how to conjugate that for you automatically. So I thought that was a really cool idea at the time, and so did my professor, so I spent about a semester investigating this, and this was the result of that.